Okay, I commit, no one can against me, you know that, of course. I'm gonna make a boil trap, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna hide the mud behind me, and then I'm gonna come with the antivirus, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna shoot myself on the top of the tower, hide the mud behind me, and come with my antivirus, that is what you can have. With the antivirus, and so I'm gonna stay, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so come on, of course, that I come with my pure gold, with my XH3 gun, with my 20 leathers, of course, and I'm gonna come with the antivirus, that is what you can have, that you know that you're gonna be all frozen and screaming if you allow it or authorize it, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so come on, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so what are you gonna say? Of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so come on, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna let you out behind me, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so what are you gonna say? Of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that we are on gas camera times, of course, that is what you can have, that you wanna let us without our money, of course, motherfuckers, I have diamonds, but don't want diamonds, I want weekends, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, but you're taking everything away from me, of course, that is what you can have, that you live without nothing, with other people fucking us on the streets, of course, that is what you can have, of course, but I have all the bitches counting my diamonds, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, and you wanna reincarnate in my kids now, of course, I have so many priests crazy after my money, of course, that is what you can have. Of course, I have so many priests after my money, that is what you can have, that they are crazy after my money, of course, that is what you can have, that they are hurting and hitting my kids, of course, to be gods, but to be God is easy, you only have to die near a famous Jew, that is what you can have, of course, that is what you can have, that is easy to be God, of course, that is what you can have, of course, that bang times are over, that is what you can have, of course, bang times are over, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna forget about everything, of course, that is what you can have, that it's over, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna forgive you, but you're gonna put us on gas cameras, then okay, then do that, of course, that is what you can have, if that is what you want, just do that, of course, what can I say to you, nothing, just do what you want, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna forget about every one of you, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna make a bull trap, I'm gonna shoot myself on the top of the tower, hide you up behind me, and come with the antivirus, with pure gold, with XH3, with 20 leathers and things like those, of course, that is what you can have, that you're gonna be all frozen and screaming if you allow it or authorize it, and you know that, of course, that they come with my 20 leathers, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, that word is yours, of course, and you know that they come with the 20 leathers, and I'm gonna forget about you, of course, I'm gonna shoot myself on the top of the tower, and you are behind me, come with antivirus, of course, and that you are there with world is yours, of course, that is what you can have, that you have to find the 20 leathers and net them, of course, and you're gonna be frozen and screaming if you allow it or authorize it, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so come on, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna forget about you, of course, that is what you can have, that I had enough from you, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, that I'm gonna make a bold trap, of course, myself on the top of the tower and hide you all behind me and come with the antivirus with world is yours. Don't find the capital 20 letters and let them. Of course, that is what she can have, that no one can against me, that I'm gonna let them all there. That is what she can have, that I give it them. Of course, that is what she can have. Of course, that is what she can have, that I'm gonna make a bold trap, that I'm gonna hide you all behind me, I'm gonna shoot myself on the top of the tower, hide you all behind me, and come with a 20 letters and with a stage 3 and with world is yours and with the 20 letters of course and let you all there. That is what she can have, that no one can against me, to take on with the antivirus of course. That is what she can have, that no one can against me, so come on of course. That is what she can have, that you're on gas camera times of course. That is what she can have, that they, if you're a communist or you're not baptized, they take your kids away, of course, and let you with other people fucking your ass in the streets, of course. That is what she can have, and if you're smart enough, you make some diamond deals, but I don't want diamonds, motherfuckers, I want weekends, of course. Everyone is fucking my ass in the streets. That is what she can have, and also they want to incarnate their the whole time asking for my money, of course. That is what she can have, they want my money, have money please hitting and hurting my kids, of course. That is what she can have, of course. That is what she can see, that there are many please hitting and hurting my kids. That is what she can have, of course. That is what she can see, that no one can against me, of course, motherfuckers. Of course, motherfuckers, bang bang times are over. That is what she can have, that bang bang times are over. That is what she can have, of course, everything is over. But I'm gonna shoot myself on the top of the tower, hide you all behind me, and come with the antivirus, of course. That is what she can have, that I'm gonna hide you all behind me and come with the antivirus with the world is yours, with the 20 letters, with the you, of course, and let them know. That is what she can have, that no one can against me, of course. That I'm gonna shoot myself on the top of the tower and hide you all behind me and come with the antivirus with world is yours, with the 20 letters and with everything. That is what she can have, that no one can against me, so what are you gonna say? Of course, motherfuckers, that is what she can have, that no one can against me, so what are you gonna say? Of course, that is what she can see, that I have many priests hitting and hurting my kids, of course. They wanna reincarnate in them and they also suicide to get my honey, of course. They are crazy. That is what she can have. Of course, motherfuckers, that is what she can have, that we're on gas camera times, that they want to take our kids away, let us without breathe. They say that our kids are sent from God and that we don't have any right and things like those, of course. That is what she can have, that I don't want diamonds, I want weekends, of course, motherfuckers, but they are the whole time eating me without nothing. With every people fucking the house in the street, my house in the street, of course. That is what she can have, okay, what can you do against it? Just nothing, of course. That is what she can have, that no one can against me, of course. That they come with me roulette lives, of course. That is what she can have, that they come with me roulette lives, of course. And with some black snow just in case. That is what she can have, of course. That is what she can say, that I come with my roulette lives and with some black snow just in case, of course. That is what she can have, of course. That is what she can say, that no one can against me, of course. That I'm gonna make a bold trap, I'm gonna shoot the tower and hide right behind me and come with the antivirus because world is yours and you have to find the 20 letters and let them. Of course that is what you can have, so come on. Of course that is what you can say, but no one can be against me. So come on, of course that is what you can have, so go on. That is what you can have, that is what you can have. Of course that you wanna put us in God's timelines and let us without breathe and take everything from us and say that there's something from God that we can have in my power. It's my life is my life, that is what you can have, so go on, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, that world is yours, and you have to find the 20 letters and let them, of course, that is what you can have, so go on, of course.